Hello friends, welcome to the session on motivation, concepts and theories. Let me introduce you to the topic. Often a person has the desire and ambition to get something done or achieve a certain goal, but lacks the push, the initiative and the willingness to take action. This is due to lack of motivation and inner drive. If one is motivated enough to do a challenging task, one will never give up, however difficult the task would be. You might have seen some people who are highly inspired and dedicated to work, and the others need to be pushed. Motivation is defined as an urge in an individual to perform goal-directed behavior. Therefore, motivation cannot be inflicted from outside, but it is an intrinsic desire in a man to achieve the target goal through performance or activity. This session will discuss on concept of motivation, need and importance of motivation, types of motivation, different theories of motivation and implication of theories of motivation. Let me explain you objectives of the session. Friends, at the end of the session, you will be able to understand about motivation and its significance. You will be able to learn different motivational theories. You will be able to understand application of motivation theories and understand what keep people motivated in an organization. You will also be able to understand integration of contemporary theories of motivation. Let us now understand what is motivation. What inspires you? What inspires employees? What motivates employees to provide excellent services? What inspires companies to market a company's products effectively? What led them to work for the organization and achieve the goals set by the organization? The answers to these questions are very important if we understand and manage the work behavior of our peers, subordinates and even supervisors and others working in an organization. If someone is not performing well, what could be the reason? Friends, performance is very important as a function of three factors, which include motivation, ability and environment. So, performance is equal to function of ability, motivation and environment. Performance is important as a function of three factors, which include motivation, ability and environment. Motivation is the word derived from the word motive, which means needs, desires, wants or drives within the individuals. Motivation is one of the forces that lead to performance. Motivation is the desire to achieve a goal or a certain performance level leading to goal-directed behavior. Motivation is important if someone is to perform well. However, it is not sufficient. Ability means possession of the skills and knowledge to do something. It is an important factor determining effectiveness. And the third is environment, which means the setting or conditions in which a particular activity is carried on. The factors such as resources, information and support which set the conditions to perform well are critical to determine performance. Friends, at different times, one of these three factors may be the key to high performance. For example, for an employee sweeping the floor, motivation may be the most important factor that determines performance. In contrast, even the most motivated individual would not be able to successfully design a house without the necessary ability involved in building quality homes. Being motivated is not the same as being a high performer and is not the sole reason why people perform well, but it is nevertheless a key influence over our performance level. So, what motivates people? Why do some employees try to reach their targets and perform excellent while others do show off at work and finish the hours? There are several theories explaining the concept of motivation. If we want to define motivation, we can say that motivation is something that encourages action or feeling. By motivating, we mean to encourage and inspire. It is a process by which a person's efforts are energized, directed, and sustained towards attaining a goal. Do you think motivation is needed? Let us try to understand the need of motivation. Friends, motivation is a fuel in us which needs to be ignited with sparks. Without motivation, the best powers of the mind remain in a deep sleep. Many a times, people have desire to do something or achieve something, but they lack the push, so they cannot take an action. Motivation strengthens the ambition, increases initiative, and gives direction, courage, energy, and the persistence to follow one's goals. Motivation is like a driving force in our lives. Let us now understand types of motivation. Friends, there are two types of motivation: intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation refers to motivation that exists within the individual rather than relying on any external pressures like money, reward, fame, and so on. The person having intrinsic motivation wants to perform tasks and feel pressure in an activity rather than worried for the external reward, means he or she would not be worried about external rewards such as praise or awards. The self-motivated employees are always motivated. Intrinsically motivated employees may be more dedicated towards their work. So, basically, the intrinsic motivation may be due to happiness, desire to learn, personal ambitions, self-improvement, and so on. Extrinsic motivation, on the other hand, refers to the type of motivation that is due to outside sources. Here, the person's desire of the person to do work is controlled by the outside sources like money, reward, fame, and so on. Friends, in organizations, extrinsic motivation is the tool used everywhere to get the work done efficiently by the employees, students, and thereby improves performance. Organizations provide financial incentives like rewards, bonus, and focuses upon fame and promotion because in order to achieve these things, they will compete with each other and will try to perform better than others. But in extrinsic motivation, if there is no bonus, rewards, money, or fame, the person is no more motivated, and this is the drawback of extrinsic motivation. Now, let us understand motivational theories. Friends, for better understanding motivation, different motivation theories need to be understood. Basically, these theories prepare the foundation for learning how to motivate self and others. Motivational theories focus on human needs examination and considerations for meeting better in work. Some of different theories of motivations are: Maslow's need hierarchy theory, McGregor's theory X and theory Y, Hertzberg's motivation hygiene theory. Let us understand one by one. First is Maslow's need hierarchy theory. American psychologist Abraham Maslow in 1943 defined Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The given figure shows the Maslow's model for need hierarchy theory. The most fundamental and basic 4 layers of the pyramid contain what Maslow called deficiency needs. The pyramid shows 5 types of needs. First is physiological needs, which includes air, food, drink, shelter, warmth, sleep, and so on. Second is a safety needs, which includes protection from elements, security, order, law, limits, stability, and so on. Third is social belongingness and love needs, which includes work group, family, affection, relationships, and so on. Fourth is esteem needs, which includes self-esteem, achievement, mastery, independence, status, responsibility, and so on. And the fifth is a self-actualization needs, that is realizing personal potential, self-fulfillment, and so on. With the exception of the most fundamental, that is physiological needs, if these deficiency needs are not met, the body gives no physical indication, but the individual feels anxious and tense. Maslow's theory suggests that the most basic level of needs must be met before the individual will strongly desire the secondary or higher level needs. The theory can be summarized as human beings have wants and desires which influence their behavior. Only unsatisfied needs influence behavior. Satisfied needs do not. Since needs are many, they are arranged in order of importance from the basic to the complex. The person advances to the next level of needs only after the lower level need is at least minimally satisfied. The further the progress up the hierarchy, the more individuality, humanness, and psychological health a person will show. Now, let us understand McGregor's theory X and theory Y. Friends, Douglas McGregor developed theory X and theory Y. According to theory X, management assumes employees are inherently lazy and will avoid work if they can, and that they inherently dislike work. Here, management believes that workers need to be closely supervised. A hierarchical structure may be implemented with control at each and every level. According to this theory, employees will show very little interest in work if no extrinsic motivation and will avoid responsibility whenever they can. The managers who follow theory X needs extrinsic motivators to get the work done efficiently. A theory X manager believes that his or her employees do not really want to work, that they would rather avoid responsibility, and that it is the manager's job to structure the work and energize the employee. According to theory Y, on the other hand, management assumes employees may be ambitious and self-motivated and exercise self-control. It is believed that employees enjoy their mental and physical work duties, and work can be as natural as play and rest. Managers believe that employees will learn to seek out and accept responsibility and exercise self-control and self-direction in accomplishing objectives to which they are committed. So, theory Y managers assume that people will be self-directed to meet their work objective if they are committed to them. So, basically, managers with this theory assumes that employees are intrinsically motivated, and if provided with work-friendly environment, they can produce the excellent results. Though theories are very basic in nature, they provide a platform for future generation to understand the changing dynamics of human behavior. Friends, theories X and Y seem to represent unrealistic extremes. In organization, most of employees fall somewhere in between these extremes. Recent studies have questioned the model, yet McGregor's X and Y theories act as a guiding principles to the management. Now let us understand another theory, that is Herzberg's motivation hygiene theory. Friends, Herzberg has given motivation hygiene theory. It states that there are certain factors in the workplace that causes job satisfaction and some set of factors that cause dissatisfaction. Because of this reason, it is also called a two-factor theory. Herzberg reasoned that because the factors causing satisfaction and dissatisfaction are different, the two feelings cannot simply be treated as opposites of one another. The hygiene and motivational factors are involved at different levels in Herzberg's two-factor theory. The factors that may lead to dissatisfaction involves workplace and work conditions, salary, relationship with boss or manager, company's policy, procedures and rules, and the factors which may lead to satisfaction involves career growth, good salary, advancement, achievements and so on. Some of the key points in Herzberg theory are: according to Herzberg, hygiene factors are necessary to maintain a reasonable level of satisfaction among employees. These factors do not provide satisfaction to the employees, but their absence will dissatisfy them. Motivational factors are intrinsic part of the job. Any increase in these factors will satisfy the employees, but a decrease will not cause dissatisfaction. Herzberg argued that job enrichment is required for intrinsic motivation and that it is a continuous management process. According to Herzberg, the job should have sufficient challenge to utilize the full ability of employees. Employees who demonstrate good ability should be given more responsibility. He said that if a job cannot be designed to use an employee's full abilities, then the firm should consider automating the task or replacing the employee with one who has lower level of skill. If a person cannot be fully utilized, then there will be a motivation problem. Let us now understand other contemporary theories. First is McClelland's theory of needs. McClelland classified his needs theories into three categories: need for power, need for achievement and need for affiliation. The need for achievement is the drive to excel, achieve in relation to a set of standards, strive to succeed. The need for power, that is, the need to make others behave in a way that they would not have behaved otherwise. The need for affiliation, that is, the desire for friendly and close interpersonal relationships. Another theory is a goal setting theory. the theory that specific and difficult goals lead to higher performance. Goals tell an employee what needs to be done and how much effort will need to be expended. Specific goals increase performance. That difficult goals, when accepted, result in higher performance than do easy goals, and that feedback leads to higher performance than does non-feedback. Specific hard goals produce a higher level of output than does the generalized goal of do your best. The specificity of the goal itself acts as an internal stimulus. The next theory is a self-efficacy theory. Self-efficacy refers to an individual's belief that he or she is capable of performing a task. The higher your self-efficacy, the more confidence you have in your ability to succeed in a task. The next theory is a reinforcement theory, a counterpoint to the goal setting theory. In reinforcement theory, a behaviorist approach which argues that reinforcement conditions behavior. Reinforcement theories see behavior as being behaviorally caused. Reinforcement theory ignores the inner state of the individual and concentrates solely on what happens to a person when he or she takes some action. Because it does not concern itself with what initiates behavior, it is not, strictly speaking, a theory of motivation. It does, however, provide a powerful means of analysis of what controls behavior. The next is equity theory. Friends, individuals compare their job inputs and outcomes with those of others and then respond so as to eliminate any inequities. Equity theory recognizes that individuals are concerned not only with absolute amount of rewards for their efforts but also with the relationship of this amount to what others receive. Equity should also consider procedural justice or the perceived fairness of the process. Equity theory considers distributive justice or the perceived fairness of the amount and allocation of rewards among individuals. It is one of the important theory of motivation. The next theory is expectancy theory. Friends, the strength of a tendency to act in a certain way depends on the strength of an expectation that the act will be followed by a given outcome and on the attractiveness of that outcome to the individual. The theory focuses on three relationships. First is effort-performance relationship or probability perceived by the individual that exerting a given amount of effort will lead to performance. The second is performance-reward relationship or the degree to which the individual believes that performing at a particular level will lead to attainment of the desired outcome. And the third is rewards personal goals relationship or the degree to which organizational rewards satisfy an individual's personal goals or needs and the attractiveness of those potential rewards for the individual. Now, let us see integrating contemporary theories of motivation. Friends, while integrating contemporary theories of motivation, consider employees' opportunity, ability, and the objectives of the current performance evaluation system in which they work. Secondly, consideration of the link between individual effort, individual performance, organizational rewards, and personal goals needs to be established. Now, let me summarize the session. Friends, we have seen that motivation is the word derived from the word motive, which means needs, desires, wants or drives within the individuals. Motivation is one of the forces that lead to performance. Motivation is the desire to achieve a goal or a certain performance level, leading to goal-directed behavior. We have seen that motivation is important if someone is to perform well. However, it is not sufficient. We have seen that motivation can be intrinsic or extrinsic. There are various types of motivational theories like Maslow's hierarchy needs, McGregor's theory, Herzberg's theory, McClelland's theory, equity theory, reinforcement theory, expectancy theory, and so on. Friends, integration of contemporary theories of motivation is also very important for building up the organization. I hope you have learned the motivation fundamentals and you liked the session.